lot of us, we love to stay in a zone that is away from our reality, okay? And something that gives us pleasure, something that gives us fantasy world, right? And pornography is something that gives us both pleasure bhi deta hai, fantasy world bhi provide karata hai, right? So that's the reason pornography can be very addictive for some people. It is something that should be talked about from the school itself. We do talk about sex education during schools, but that is not enough. You know, थोड़ा सा और वहाँ पे education की ज़रूरत है. School is not talking much about it. Parents are not talking much about it. अगर वो सारी चीजें नहीं होती, then probably we won't go out to find the education from pornography world.
Porn addiction is seeing a massive increase these days. It is widely available, easily accessible, and of course, pleasurable and entertaining in nature. Not only is it available to adults, but even the younger population, especially minors, are exposed to pornographic content. Hi, I'm Urvashi Bisht, head psychologist at Hay, and a practicing psychotherapist with more than 5 years of experience. Today, we will be discussing strategies that can help us overcome porn addiction. For the same talk, we have Dr. Rimpa Sarkar with us. She's a consultant psychologist and a psychotherapist with over 12 years of experience working in different setups such as hospitals, corporates, and non-profit organizations. She holds a PhD and master's in clinical psychology and is trained in CBT, NLP, and psychosexual therapy. She co-owns a psychological firm named Sentier Mind in Mumbai, India. She's actively working on raising awareness of mental health and suicide prevention in India. Thank you so much, Dr. Rimpa, for taking our time for this call.
Thank you, Urvashi, for choosing this topic. It's a very important topic to talk about, and thank you for having me. It's always pleasure to talk about and something that needs awareness and more conversation. Yes.
Absolutely. I think very rightly, as you mentioned, this topic is rarely talked about. And we are glad that, the two professionals today, both of us together, can understand this better for our audience and for our viewers as well. Okay, so maybe we'll start with, you must have heard, or even if when you get clients, sometimes even the users that we interact with, they say that they stop watching porn because they identify it as a problem, but they can't seem to do that. What do you think that is, or do you think it's problematic? How can they proceed by stopping the addiction once they have identified it?
So, see, what happened is many human beings, a lot of us, we love to stay in a zone that is away from our reality, okay? And something that gives us pleasure, something that gives us fantasy world, right? And pornography is something that gives us both pleasure bhi deta hai, fantasy world bhi provide karata hai, right? So that's the reason pornography can be very addictive for some people. Okay, I'm not saying that everyone who watch pornography get addictive to pornography, but yes, for some people it can be. So अगर हम लोग थोड़ा सा टेक्निकल थोड़ा बात करें, so what exactly happen is in our body, in our brain, we have some happy hormones, okay, that we need to feel happy or to experience the pleasure around us, right? So there's something called dopamine. So अगर कोई भी एक चीज में हम लोग addictive हो जाते हैं, so at that time, I won't say addictive, but to feel that happiness or the pleasure, whatever we are doing, उस time पे this dopamine is something that get released. Okay, right. That is how we experience everything around us. And ये जब pornography when we watch it, तो उस वजह से dopamine हमारा release होता है and we feel that pleasure. And a lot of people जब addiction में चले जाते हैं, I'm not just talking about watching pornography, but also alcohol हो गया या फिर drugs हो गया or maybe gaming as well.
Right.
People get that pleasure because of dopamine release. And वो जब हम लोग बार बार अगर सेम ही चीज करते रहे, वो सेम लेवल का अगर प्लेजर मिल रहा है, so we want some more hit. थोड़ा सा और हाई होना हमें अच्छा लगता है. So that's the reason हम लोग उस चीज को और ज्यादा करने लगते हैं और ज्यादा उसको हम लोग और ज्यादा हाई लेवल पे हम लोग जाना चाहते हैं. We want to experience that thing जो पहले था वो उतना ज्यादा pleasurable नहीं लगता है. That is when we start doing it more and more. And that is how we get addicted to porn. And not just porn, but other things as well. But porn भी उसमें आ जाता है. So एक बार अगर हम लोग उसको देखना शुरू कर दें वीडियोस को, और वट एवर वे यू आर कंज्यूमिंग पोर्नोग्राफी, तो वो जब हम लोग को हाई फील कराता रहता है, अगर हम लोग को वो अच्छा नहीं लग रहा है कि जो लेवल में हम लोग थे हमें और थोड़ा सा चाहिए, तो वी वॉच मोर, एंड देन उसको बार बार देखते रहते हैं, तो फिर हो जाता है। एंड देयर आर लॉट ऑफ पीपल हु आर experiencing this thing. Not many admit this thing, that they are addicted to pornography, but it is one of the common addiction people have. However, when we are talking about addiction, let me just also tell you that कि DSM या फिर ICD, no one talks about, no one mention that it's an addiction. Pornography is still, अभी भी ये बात चल रही है कि is either a compulsion or an addiction. That's the reason कहीं पे भी ये मेंशन नहीं किया गया है कि pornography addiction is a disorder. ऐसा कहीं पे भी नहीं है. People do talk about it as a impulse control. It is mentioned as an impulse control disorder. तो उसमें ये mention किया गया है sexual compulsive behavior में, जहाँ पे एक criteria है that watching pornography is also part of this disorder. However, पॉर्न एडिक्शन करके कोई भी डिसऑर्डर अब तक नहीं आया है. सो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल यू नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड कि इट इज रियली एडिक्शन और व्हाट एग्जैक्टली इट इज. सो इज इट हैम्परिंग योर एनी डेली रूटीन? It can be your work life, it can be your school life, it can be your relationship or anything. अगर वो कहीं से भी hamper कर रहा है, then probably that is somewhere you need to intervene, you need to start working on it. So पहले recognition is मतलब important, कि अगर आप एक बार समझ जाएं कि आपको प्रॉब्लम है, then you can start taking help. And when it comes to taking help, you can take help from either couple counseling. So couple counseling तब आता है जब this behavior of yours which you are not able to which you are not able to avoid, वो आपके relationship में प्रॉब्लम कर रहा है, राइट? सो अगर वो आपका कोई भी रिलेशनशिप हो सकता है, इंटीमेट रिलेशनशिप जो भी है, तो उसमें अगर वो प्रॉब्लम करने लगे, देन यू कैन go for a couple counseling. In case, but there are a lot of times it happens कि you're not a committed person, you are not in a relationship at all, but you're a single person, and it is hampering your pleasure in some way. Right? So in that case, you can go for individual counseling. They can help you. Uh, they can help you with the treatment, not just the treatment, but also how to overcome it. Maybe they may just ask you to, reach out to your friends or someone who can keep a track of your behavior, or maybe just keep asking you कि are you doing okay or not, or maybe हर दिन का just एक message भी आ जाए कि are you okay today, so that is also fine, right? So all these things also is important in getting out of this whole thing.
Right. Okay, and what effects can have on our psyche or on our lives? You said that it might interfere in your functionality at an individual level, or it starts interfering with your relationship with your romantic partner. It can impact both. On our psyche, what do you think this porn addiction, how it can play a role, how it can take a toll on us psychologically?
See, when again अगर मैं फिर से डोपामीन के बारे में फिर से अगर बात करूँ, तो what happen is जब वो excessive amount of dopamine जब flood करने लगता है हमारी बॉडी में, again वो जो receptors है हमारी बॉडी में, not body, in our brain, जो signals ले रहे हैं, and that is helping us react in one way, वो ओवरवेल्म फील करना शुरू कर देते हैं. उस टाइम पे हमारे ब्रेन को जो है कोप करने की तो जरूरत है. दे डोंट वांट टू स्टे इन दैट जोन. So that is how what happens is this जो हमारा हाई है वो हमें सेम फील होने लगता है, एंड देन वी वांट मोर एंड मोर. इस वजह से प्रोबेबली ये भी चांसेस हो सकते हैं कि शायद हमारा बॉडी एक्सेप्ट ही ना करना करे डोपामीन को, बिकॉज हम लोग वो खुश ही नहीं हो पा रहे उस लेवल पे, राइट? सो ये सारी चीजें जब हमारी वी आर नॉट गेटिंग द सफिशिएंट अमाउंट ऑफ डोपामीन इन आवर ब्रेन, वो चैलेंजिंग हो जाता है, एंड दैट इज हाउ हमारा टॉलरेंस लेवल जो है वो चेंज हो जाता है, जिसमें स्टार्ट अफेक्टिंग, जब ये सारी चीजें चैलेंजिंग होने लगे, that start affecting our relationship or our pleasure. Maybe तब sexual dysfunction हम लोग feel करना शुरू कर दें, and maybe हम लोग वो extreme scenario जो हम लोग देखते हैं pornography में, we want to act out
Right.
in same way with our partner, so वो होना शुरू हो जाए, तो that is how it may impact our relationship. But with that, it may also happen that we stay preoccupied with those thoughts
Hmm.
that may start hampering our work life as well,
Hmm.
right? So ये सारी चीजें हैं जो ज्यादा impact कर सकती हैं. It may also happen that we start spending money on the subscription. Those expenses, those money we probably needed for our family or
Yes.
some other kind of necessity. So हम लोग वहाँ पे शुरू कर देते हैं spend करना. So that may happen. In other way, it can impact our life is maybe we start feeling inadequate, that we cannot feel the pleasure, or maybe we cannot give the same pleasure to our partners. Okay, so inadequacy आ सकती है, confidence issue आ सकता है, low self esteem हो सकता है. So all these things can happen due to this.
Right. So a lot of impact, which is financial, emotional, psychological. I think in multiple aspects of our life, it can take a toll. So I think very last question that I want to ask from you, which is very important for, I think will be helpful also for our viewers and listeners, which is that what would you say to help someone who's experiencing addiction to pornography, and how can they get back on track in their lives once they have identified it?
So the journey of becoming addicted to pornography must have started somewhere, right? Similar to the other addiction. So maybe कभी ऐसा हुआ होगा कि हम लोग exposed हुए होंगे to the pornography, and then वहां से हम लोगों ने experiment किया होगा, then tolerance level, then maybe abuse किया हमने experimentation के बाद में, and then dependency बढ़ी, and then tolerance, and then withdrawal symptoms. ये सारी चीजें यहाँ पे भी रहती है with the pornography addiction, right? So, as I mentioned just few minutes back, that first you need to analyze your behavior. Okay, behavior pattern analyze karo. Look for the signs of addiction. Is it hampering any aspect of your life or not? And once you find out that it is impacting, then you can start looking for a help. Okay, if you find that you are fixated to porn and it is you are getting compulsive to that, then that is when you need to start looking for help, right? So look for a therapist, look for a couple counselor, or whatever you need. Help is available everywhere, or maybe just take a help from your app, that is Hey app. There are so many counselors and therapists available over there who are ready to help for this concern as well. And yeah, this is it.
So I think reaching out to a professional once you have identified would be the most helpful step, is what you're suggesting, because working
That's
out on something even after I've identified at a personal level can be extremely challenging. So an
absolutely
expert
right.
can support and guide you accordingly with the right measures and help you overcome and come out of it, is what you're suggesting. Okay.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Sounds like a great note that we can conclude our conversation on. Is there something else that you'd like to add, Dr. Rimpa?
No, nothing else. But yeah, I just want to add one thing, that porn addiction is something that we talk about. It is very easy to blame someone else or your relationship, but somewhere it is something that should be talked about from the school itself. We do talk about sex education during schools, but that is not enough. थोड़ा सा और वहाँ पे education की जरूरत है. School is not talking much about it. Parents are not talking much about it. अगर वो सारी चीजें नहीं होती, then probably we won't go out to find the education from pornography world
Right.
to know about the sex. So and the other thing is, take this thing as a more of a cartoon of reality, right? It is not a reality but a cartoon of reality. Don't rely on it, but just uh, watch it as an entertainment, not something that you can apply in your real life.
Real life. Right. And as you mentioned, that definitely that is the initiative and intention that he has created to do more psychoeducation and spread awareness about topics that are rarely talked about. And thanks to experts like you who are, open to talking about it and help our viewers and listeners on the same topic.
Thank you so much.